This is the book of Job, chapter 11 and verse 6. And that he would shew thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is.
All right, stop
Know
right there.
therefore.
And hold on, King. Double to that which is. That's the thought that I want everybody to keep in mind throughout the lesson. You can go ahead, bro.
Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth.
All right, and that's twofold. That meaning, like, if God would render double the punishment or the judgment to us, it's safe to say that we wouldn't have no chance of surviving that. Therefore, he multiplies his mercies. Let's get Sirach 18 and 12.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 18 and verse 12. He saw and perceived their end to be evil. Therefore, he multiplied his compassion.
Right. He multiplied his compassions on us, because if he was to render double our punishment or judgment, we wouldn't survive it. So therefore, he had to multiply his compassions. And there we see the wisdom of God is perfected by double. Let's go to Sirach. Well, let's stay in Sirach. And that's in the Apocrypha, for those who don't know. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Let's go to chapter 42, and you can start at 24.
That's Sirach, right?
Yes, sir. Sirach 42 and 24.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 42 and verse 24. All things are double one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect.
Right. All things are double one against another. And that's obvious, because we know that we got light and darkness, we got up and down, we got left and right, positive and negative, love and hate, and so on. And with that, we get balance. And we see the wisdom of the Lord is revealed and balanced by double. And it say he had made nothing imperfect. So the wisdom of God is perfected by double. And that's what we're gonna be getting a few accounts of tonight. And the first one I want to look at is double recompense. How the Lord gonna compensate double to us if we endure this thing. So let's go to Zechariah 9 and 12. Yeah, let's get that to go with it.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse 12. Turn you to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee.
Right. So in this life, we count all things lost, and we endure the trials and tribulations that he bring upon us, so that we can receive the double. Could you get Isaiah 61 and 7 to plug in with that precept also? Because the Lord, we just read that he promised to render us double. So we got to endure to the end to receive the double. So Isaiah 61 and 7.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and verse 7. For your shame, ye shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them.
Right. And so there we see the promises of God, and that's also the wisdom of God demonstrated in double. That's a wonderful promise, that for all that we've been through, we get to experience that the double everlasting joy. So I can only imagine how double the punishment would be. That's why he had to multiply his compassions. Let's look at double destruction. Let's go to Revelations 18 and 6.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double.
To her double, right. So the Lord, it's going to come a time where the Lord is going to reward our enemies with double, right? Just as they done to us, they're going to get the same thing, only double. Let's get Jeremiah 17 and 18 with that. Jeremiah 17 and 18. So the Lord said he gonna render double destruction on our enemies.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 18. Let them be confounded that persecute me, but let not me be confounded. Let them be dismayed, but let not me be dismayed. Bring upon them the day of evil and destroy them double destruction.
Destroy them with double destruction, right? And that should be the prayer of every Israelite, right? To destroy all of these nations with double destruction. So from there, we're gonna look at double honor. Let's go to 1 Timothy 5 and 17.
This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 5 and verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine.
Right, especially they who labor in the word and in doctrine. The Lord commanded us all that we honor our parents, but here he said to give double honor to the elders in the truth, right? Men and women that stood strong 20, 30, 40 plus years are worthy of double honor. So there's another example of God's wisdom by double. From there, let's go to let's talk about your spouse, because even in your spouse, the wisdom of God is revealed by double. Go to Sirach 26 and 1. Right. So the Lord can demonstrate double wisdom even in your spouse. Sirach 26 and 1, Ken. You can read it when you get there.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double.
Right, meaning less stress. Less stress makes you live longer. And not only that, this twofold also, that Proverbs 31 wife, she'll be with you when our days are prolonged, even into eternity. So jump down to verse 15. Let's take a look at what he say about the woman.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 15. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace.
Right.
Want me to keep going, King?
Start it over again. Read it from the top.
A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued.
Cannot be valued, right? What's more precious than a daughter of Zion, humble and faithful, right? Strong in the mind and in faith. It say it's double grace and honor with her. You're gonna have double peace, double rest. So we see in your spouse the wisdom of God is revealed by double, right? And question. So what did Elisha or Elisha ask Elijah for? He asked him for a double portion. Let's look at that. Let's go to 2 Kings 2 and 9.
Give me a second, King.
Yes, 2 Kings 2 and 9. He asked for a double portion of God's righteousness.
Hold on. There, this is loud. You said the one, 2 Kings 2 and 9, King?
Yeah, 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 9.
It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2 and verse 9. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me.
Right. And this is really twofold if you look at it, when we're going to get into that, because he asked them for double righteousness. So let's go to Baruch chapter 5 and verse 2 and see where his righteousness comes from. Baruch chapter 5 and verse 2.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 5 and verse 2.
Mhm.
Cast about thee a double garment of the righteousness which
Right.
cometh from God.
Which
Instead of
coming from
diadem,
God. Keep going, King.
Con. Instead of diadem on thy head of the glory of the everlasting.
Right. It says cast about thee a double garment of righteousness, the same thing that Elisha asked for. And we see that it comes from God. So a double garment of righteousness, two garments will the Lord give. So we see the wisdom of the Lord revealed in twos again. Right. And if we go look at how Hamashiach sent out his disciples, how did he send them out? By double, by two by two. Let's get Mark chapter 6 and verse 7.
You said Mark 6 and 7, correct, King?
Yeah. And I'm
Con.
going somewhere with this. It's going to all tie together and make sense.
Con. And he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth by two and two, and gave them power over unclean spirits.
Right. So he sent them out two by two. That was 6 group of twos. And we see the wisdom of God there demonstrated by two. And even in our law, like when you stole something from somebody, the law was to pay back what? To pay back double. So let's look at that. Let's get Exodus 22 and 7.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22, and verse 7. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double.
Pay double, right? So we see the righteousness of God there again demonstrated by double. And even with the sacrifices, we can find demonstrations of these doubles. Go to Numbers 28 and verse 9. And you can read down through 10, verses 9 and 10.
Con. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 28, and verse 9. On the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2 tenth deals of flour for a meat offering, mingled
Hold
with
on,
oil.
okay. So you notice he wanted 2 lambs of the first year without spot and two tenths. Keep going.
Con.
You can finish that, George.
Con. Mingle with oil in the drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering.
Right. So every Sabbath, when we was doing these animal sacrifice, every Sabbath we was to offer up 2 lambs. Right. So now we're gonna go a little bit deeper with these doubles. What are 2 things that can never change? Gonna take a look at this. Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 17. Here are 2 immutable things that can never change. And here we're gonna see the wisdom of God perfected by double. Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 17.
Con. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, and verse 17. Wherein God, willing more abundantly to shew unto the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath.
Right. Immutability means never changing. It won't change. It's immutable. Right. Keep going, King.
Con. That by 2 immutable things in which it was impossible for God to lie,
Right.
we might have a strong consolation, who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope set before us.
All right. Now jump down to verse 20 for me.
Con. Whether the forerunner is Yahushai, made an high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
Right. So if we look closely, we'll see that the 2 immutable things that can't change, one of them is the promises that God made by oath, right? That he can't lie. The promise that he made for us to inherit the kingdom and all things if we obey the laws, he made that by oath. And that's one immutable thing that won't change because he can't lie. And if we look down at verse 20, we see another thing that can't change, which is the the priesthood of Melchizedek, or better known as Yahweh Shai, because they the same person. And here we see the wisdom of God by double, the two things that can't change. We're gonna look a little bit deeper. Zechariah. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 4. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 1.
Con. The book of Zechariah, chapter 4, and verse 1. And
Read
the angel
down to
that
5, King.
Con. The angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is awakened out of his sleep, and said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick of all gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and its 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my Lord? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord.
Right. So he trying to figure out what these 2 candlesticks are. Not only that, everything that he's seeing. Jump down to verse 11 and read down to 14.
Con. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, and verse 11. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves?
Right.
And
So
he
this
answered
made
me
3 times that he asked him, what are these things? Right. Keep going.
Con. And he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then said he, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth.
All right. Now let's find out who these 2 anointed ones are. Let's go to Revelations chapter 11 and verse 3. Revelations 11 verses 3 through 4. And here we're going to see the wisdom and the power of God demonstrated by 2.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 11 and verse 4. These are the 2 olive branches and
Start
the
at
2
verse 3, King.
Oh, con. The book of Revelations, chapter 11 and verse 3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Right.
These are the 2 olive and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth.
Right. So that's the same 2 candlesticks that we just read about in Zechariah. And in the last days, we're going to see the power of God demonstrated by 2 and by these 2 witnesses. So let's get a few more accounts on what happens when 2 Hebrews double team. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and 30. What happens when 2 Hebrews come together? Deuteronomy 32 and 30.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 30. How should 1 chase 1,000 and 2 put 10,000 to flight, except the rock had sold them and the Lord had shut them up?
So here we see that 2 Hebrews can put 10,000 people to a flight. 2 Hebrews can chase 10,000 people. And that's the power of God perfected and demonstrated by 2. Right. And what happens when 2 Hebrews pray together? Let's look at that. Matthew 18 and 19.
Con.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 19 through 20.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 19. Again, I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
Hey, and see, that's the whole point that I want us to see. If we all on one accord and on one mind, ain't no telling what the Most High can do. And so we see here that when 2 Hebrews pray together, we see the power of God perfected and demonstrated by 2. And when we out on the highways, right, how many times do we tell our people that they gonna die if they don't repent? Twice. because they would die the second death, right? So we see the wisdom of God in that. Let's go to Revelation 21:8. Let's see that. Revelations 21:8. So we tell our people that they're going to ultimately die twice. You're going to die a double death.
God. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Death. Right. So you got double death also. And there you see the power of God demonstrated by two. So we start to see a pattern. And if you really pay attention, you'll see how the Lord he speaks in similitudes, or he'll say the same thing in a different way. And a lot of people will call that double talk. But what we don't understand is the manifold wisdom of God is say that they are double to that which is. So we don't have the capacity spiritually to understand the Lord. And the understanding that we do got from him, we had to ask for it. And even that, we still far from understanding. So my point with that is everything is double to that which is. And the brother Aliyah said all the time that everything is spiritual. And so I'm looking at this number two, like it must have some type of spiritual component, just like all other numbers, but it's something different about two, because did not Rebecca have what, twins? Let's look at that. Genesis 25 and 23.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 25 and verse 23.
Right.
The Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. The elder shall serve the younger.
Right. And here again, we see the wisdom of God perfected by two, one righteous and one wicked. And even if you take a look at the 2/3, right? 2 out of 3 of our people gonna be destroyed. They're gonna die the second death. Let's get that, King. Let's get Zechariah 13 and 8. And here again, we see the wisdom of God perfected by two. That's Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8.
It's the book of Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
All right, 2 parts. That's 2/3. I think what's that now, Sean? 66%. Hey, so there again we see the wisdom and the power of God demonstrated by two. And even if you look at how many stones the Lord told Moses to make, let's look at that, Exodus 34 and 1.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, hew thee 2 tables of stone, like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables which thou breakest.
Right. So these the second set of tables that the Lord told him to make. And me, I'm thinking it could have been easier if he told him to do front and back. It would have been easier to carry too. But the Lord in his manifold wisdom, he told him to make 2. Just like he made man and woman. He could have created who knows how many other genders, but he only created 2 sexes, and that's male and female. And that just food for thought. And we also see the power of God demonstrated in the beginning of creation. George, let's go to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 16. Well, no, start at verse 1. I don't know why I wrote it like that. But yeah, start at 1 and 16.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 16.
Start at 1, Salakia, my bad.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
He created the heaven and the earth. And there we see wisdom perfected by 2. He could have created way more than that, but The Bible say that he created the heavens and the earth. Now jump down to 16.
Con. And God made two great lights. The greater lights have ruled the day, and the lesser lights
That's
rule
like
the night.
the night. And there
He made the
again,
stars.
so like your king, he made the stars also. And there again, we see the wisdom of God perfected by these two great lights that he made. And we're gonna take a quick turn because we see if all things are double to that which is, then it has to be some doubles that the Lord hate or some doubles that ain't good for us. So let's look at the other side of this. Let's go to James chapter 1 and verse 8. If all things are double to that which is, then it has to be some doubles that aren't good. James chapter 1 and verse
This
8.
is the book of James. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Right. And a double-minded man or a double-minded individual, he lacks faith and understanding. And we know what two things go hand in hand: faith and works. Right. Let's get that. James 2 and 17.
It's the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 17. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone.
Being alone. So you have to have the two. And there we see the wisdom of God demonstrated by double. Because if you have faith by itself, it won't profit you nothing. You have work by itself, it won't profit you anything. You got to have both. Let's go to Sirach chapter 1 and verse 28. Ecclesiasticus chapter 1 and verse 28.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 1 and verse 28. Distrust not the fear of the Lord when thou art poor, and come not unto him with a double heart.
Right. If you have a double heart, it means you lack faith and don't expect to receive anything from the Most High. Excuse me. Jump over to the next chapter, chapter 2, and read verse 12, King.
Con. So you want Sirach 2 and 2?
No, sir. I want Sirach 2 and 12.
Okay. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 12. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goes two ways.
Two ways. So we don't want to be that person that goes two ways, and it's true. Because whether we realize it or not, the words tell us that our actions will be weighed, right? And the Lord love a just balance. So let's get 1 Samuel 2 and 3. So we don't want to have a double heart. We don't want to be double-minded because we're going to be weighed, and the Lord love a equal balance. 1 Samuel 2 and 3.
The book of 1 Samuel, the 2 and verse 3. Talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed.
By him actions are weighed. So our actions going to be weighed in a balance. And the Lord want us to be found with an even balance. Go to Job 31 and 6. So the decisions that we make, man, that's why it's important to make the right decision, because he gave us a choice. You know what I'm saying? You got one or two options, and he want us to choose life. Job 31 and 6.
It's the book of Job, chapter 31 and verse 6. Let me be weighed in an even balance, that a God may know my integrity.
Right. So we got to be the ones that walk upright and with integrity, right? We don't want to be two ways, or we can't be double-minded in this truth. From there, King, let's go to Sirach 33 and verse 10.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth.
Right. And it says all men are from the ground. Like I said earlier, he could have created more genders, but he chose to create two. Right. Keep going, King.
In much knowledge, the Lord hath divided and made their ways diverse.
Diverse. Jump down to verse 14.
Con. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly.
Read 15.
Con. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against
One
another.
against the other. So, right, it's a beautiful thing to look into these type of things. It says, look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against the other. And as we start to meditate on these things, we'll see the wisdom of God perfected by two. Let's go to Amos 3:3, because it says the sinner and the sinner against the godly. Let's go to Amos 3:3.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Nope, because we just read that opposition is in all things. Everything has an opposite. So the godly is set against the sinner. So two can't walk together unless they be agreed. So if you're not walking in agreement with the people that you fellowship with, how can y'all put 10,000 to a flight? Or how can y'all touch and agree on anything and the Lord bring it to pass if y'all not walking in agreement? The like minds has to be on one accord through the Ruach, right? And what two things sharpen each other? Let's go to Proverbs 27:17.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
Right? All praises for that. And I praise the Most High for the brews that I fellowship with. These are like man mind of integrity, and I praise the Most High for that, because iron sharpen iron. It ain't good to be alone in this thing. So there again, we see the wisdom of God perfected by two, by double. Go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 41.
It's the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 41. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain.
That means go with him too. And that's the beauty of having these brothers that I fellowship with, because these type of men, they prove themselves to be the brother that'll go the extra mile, brothers that you can depend on. And that's a beautiful thing. So there we see the wisdom of God demonstrated by two. Oh, this went by kind of fast. This is my last precept. This is the last one. What are the two options that the Most High gave to the nations? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 15. I ain't think that was go by so quick.
So you want Deuteronomy 30 and 15?
Yeah, 30 and 15. Read down to 15 and 16.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil.
Right, we got two options. Keep going, throw it.
And that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it.
All right, read 19, King. Might as well get that. Yeah.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, and therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
Right, and there in the end, we see the power of God perfected by two. It all comes down to these two choices, and he wants us to choose life, that both us and our seed may live forever. And with that, I yield, family. This was more of a message of exhortation, and just if you meditate, in these precepts, it ain't no telling what the Lord will show you. And I just felt the need to, share that. I found that interesting. The Bible says to look at the works of the Lord and see that they are two by two. And if any brothers got any precepts or anything, that's it.
Come, mighty class, King, man. I had a precept.
I ain't know how long you had your hand up, Hebrew. My bad.
Nah, you good. No, I was just waiting. I had put it back down because I was waiting on the end. I was gonna bring it out. First Samuel 4:7-8 says, and the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is coming to the camp. And they said, woe unto us, for there has not been such a thing heretofore. Woe unto us, who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. So that's just a precept to John 10:34 and Psalms 82:6 to also prove that we gods, man. We can do anything that we put our mind to, and we keeping these commandments. We can't look at it. We can't look at ourselves as just normal people like the heathen do. We gotta look at ourselves on a higher standard because they can't do the stuff we do, man.
Right.
So we definitely gotta make sure we gotta keep that in mind.
Hey, that's a fact, man. That's a beautiful point. But if y'all don't take anything out of this class, man, just look at every situation twice. That's why the Lord, I feel, look, even if you look at our bodies, He gave us 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 feet. We ought to look at these things, and try to find the wisdom of God in it, because He don't do things just to do it. I believe it's a reason behind everything, So just look at everything twice, look at the works of the Most High. They are 2 by 2.
Big con. All praise, man. That was a mighty call.
I gotta go over it again, man, because you found some precepts I ain't even know, man.
Con, all praise to Yahweh, man.
All praise to Yahweh.
All right, well, yeah, man. I bid everybody almighty shalom. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. Endure this thing, endure this captivity. We almost home. And y'all, we don't need to be alone, man. So if it's somebody that y'all could get close to, or brothers, that you haven't talked to in a while in the truth, try to reach out, because 2 is always better than 1. With that, I say shalom, everybody.
Shalom, King.
Shalom.
I just want to remind everybody, next class is going to be on Tuesday. We're going into the law. It'll be at 7 p.m. All right, so don't miss that. Tell a friend, tell somebody that you've been trying to tell about the truth. Come through, man. Just send them the link. And Most High willing, they can be edified and be brought into the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Appreciate everybody for coming, man. The water. Shalom. Any brother got any thing else to say before we go? Anything I'm missing as far as announcements?
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, just to go ahead and give you a heads up. Law call too.
Can't hardly hear you, King.
A little bit.
Yeah, we can't hardly hear you what you said.
I'm gonna text you.
Okay, con. All right, with that, man, shalom, everybody. The class was recorded, so we'll get that put up on the YouTube page. YouTube page is Prisoners of Hope. Prisoners of Hope. For anybody that don't know, we'll send you that link to that video. All right, shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom.